guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you another Recent Reads video. I got 2 books to talk about, so let's just get right into it. The first book that I want to mention is As You Wish, Inconceivable Tales from the Making of the Princess Bride by Cary Elwes. And y'all probably know Cary Elwes played Wesley in The Princess Bride. And so this book is all about the various stories and adventures and relationships that happened during the making of The Princess Bride. And I listened to the audiobook of this, and it was really fun. It's narrated by Cary himself, and then within the book there are little what's the word? Insets? I don't think that's the right word, but there's like little stories from various cast members of The Princess Bride, and in the audiobook those little stories are narrated by the person telling them. So like Billy Crystal tells his stories, and then Rob Reiner tells his stories, and Robin Wright tells her stories, and all the main players are there telling their stories within Cary Elwes' main narrations. And it's a really, really great book. I would definitely recommend it if you are a Princess Bride fan at all. It was so fun. He talks about, the different filming. Well, first he starts out talking about, the process of getting cast in the movie. When he was first met with Rob Reiner, he actually was in Germany working on a movie, and it was right after Chernobyl happened, and so people were all worried about radiation, and at first he was worried they weren't going to come meet with him in Germany. And then he talks about meeting Rob Reiner and getting cast, and he also talks about getting into starting filming, and he talks about he actually broke his big toe during filming, and you can tell a few different places in the movie. He points out in the book different places where he's not walking as much, or he's walking in a weird way. He talks about all of the training that he did with Mandy Patinkin to get ready for the big fight scene. All of the moves in the fight scene were done by him and Mandy, except for the part where he does the flip over the bar. That was a stunt double, but the rest of it was 100% them. They did a lot of training for months at a time to get ready. And he talks about Andre the Giant, his relationship with Andre, and he talks about how Andre was so large that one time he went out drinking with Andre, and Andre was order pictures and pictures of beer, and they went to multiple places, and he drank 10 pitchers of beer, and he wasn't even drunk, which is crazy. So yeah, it was just a really, really interesting book full of really fun stories, and again, I would really recommend it if you're a Princess Bride fan. There's also pictures in the middle of it, and it's just a really fun time. And of course, I did rewatch the movie after reading this and listening to it, and it was a great time. I loved The Princess Bride, so yeah, I was really glad to finally get around to listening to this. The last week of September, I actually went on vacation, and I read 2 books, and the first one of those was The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, and I read this solely for the buzzword of dawn. One of the prompts was lost, and I needed a book for that, so that's why I picked this up. This is a brand new release, and I actually had to wait on the hold list for it, which is really rare. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know I'm not a big new release person. I tend to be 2 years behind the trends, but this time I actually read a book when it was still pretty hot. So yeah, this is a dual timeline novel. It's following a woman named, what's her name? Nella. Nella is an apothecary in the early 1800s, and she makes poisons for women that have either abusive husbands or abusive fathers, or they have something going on where they need poison. So she is known for being a apothecary that will help you get rid of a problem in the form of a male person. She will not use her potions on any women, but she'll help you if you have a male problem. And then the other storyline is following a woman named Caroline, who is in present day, and both of these stories take place in London. And so in Nella's case, she makes a friend of a young 12-year-old girl named Eliza who comes to get a potion for her mistress, and it's about their relationship, and then it's about a scandal that they get involved in when they make a potion for a woman that's a wealthy woman, and the potion goes wrong and something very bad happens, and so we see that storyline, and then we also see the storyline of Caroline. And Caroline has come to London. She's a Canadian, and she comes to London for her anniversary, but she and her husband are having marital problems, and so it's about how she is trying to discover what direction she wants to go in with her life, whether she wants to stay married or whether she wants to try something new. She actually was a history major, and she had been making plans to go get a doctorate in history, and then she decided to give that up and get married instead. And so she's going back and debating whether or not she wants to try to jumpstart her academic career, and she comes across some evidence of the existence of Nella, and she becomes very curious about Nella's story, and she begins doing research, going to the British Library and meeting a librarian archivist there and making friends with her, and she's just exploring the area where Nella lived. And so it's about these two women and their stories and how their stories are connected through Caroline's research. So this was fun while I was reading it, but now it's like a week and it's like 10 days since I've read it, and I've already forgotten a lot of like the finer details, so it's not something that's going to stick with me for a while. I also felt like there was a lot of stuff that was kind of unrealistic in terms of like Caroline's research process. I'm a history major, and I actually, got my master's degree in library science, but my actual degree was in archival studies because my original intention was going to work in an archives, and that didn't work out because it's like crazy hard to get into the archive business. But anyways, so what I'm saying is like I have a background in this, and so to me it felt like some of the research methods Caroline used weren't that great, and also it just wasn't always that realistic. But so overall, this was interesting and I enjoyed it while I read it, but it's not something that I'm going to retain much memory of. But I'm glad I finally finished the Buzzwordathon prompts. I was doing it where I was just reading one book from each prompt. I wasn't doing it once a month like Kayla set it up. I was just doing it on my own schedule, and now I'm done with it. So yay, I'm glad I actually finished a challenge of some sort this year, because it seems like my track record so far with challenges this year hasn't been great. So currently I'm in the deep throes of my Victober reading. I'm reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brontë for my actual Victorian novel. I read this once a long time ago, probably when I was about 14, and I don't remember anything about it except like the main plot points, and so I wanted to give it a reread, and I figured, so I reread Wuthering Heights last year by Emily Brontë, and that's the group read this year, and this was the group read last year. So I decided to sort of swap and reread this again. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I actually started out reading it on audiobook, but there's so many like references to things that I don't know, and I had to keep stopping it and looking stuff up. And there's also a lot of French in this novel, and I'm one of those people where I want to translate the French or whatever language it is, because I don't know, so I kept having to stop and use Google to translate. So I finally just decided to pick up the Kindle version. It's free, and so, because it's in the public domain. So I am now using the Kindle to read it, along with keeping track in my physical copy from the library. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. If you don't know what this is about, it's Jane Eyre, and she goes to be the governess and meets Mr. Rochester, and there's the wife in the attic, but I haven't actually got to the wife in the attic yet. And that's actually something that's been surprising me so far, is like, well, actually, I should say, I have gotten to the wife in the attic, but Jane doesn't know it's the wife in the attic yet, but she's heard, like, noises. But anyway, I'm actually surprised about that, because, like, that's, like, the main plot point of this, and the one that everybody knows, and yet, I'm like, over halfway now, and we still haven't actually met the wife in the attic. Because, like, the first good chunk of it, like, the first, I don't know, 20% was just Jane in doing her early life stuff, and then she's got the Thorn deal. So it's still a relatively long way into the book before we get to the wife in the attic part. So yeah, I've been really enjoying this so far. I'm also reading Unmentionable, the Victorian Lady's Guide to Sex, Marriage, and Manners by Therese Oneill. And this is a book that I've been meaning to read in October every year since it came out, and I never get to it. And this year I was like, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I'm doing it. And this is literally what it says on the tin. It's a guide to like all the different facets of a Victorian woman's life, an upper class Victorian woman's life. So it's like about sex and about dressing and beauty and makeup and, you know, going to the bathroom and clothes and, you know, birth control. Like, not that they had actual birth control, but like, you know, preventing conception methods and all that stuff. So yeah, it's really, really good, and I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's such a quick read. So my goal is to finish this week and to finish this week as well. So yeah, I'm enjoying both of these. So I'm actually filming this on October 9th, and tomorrow, so it's actually mid-month Boob Bash, so I've been reading today for mid-month Boob Bash, and tomorrow the nonfiction November prompts are coming out, and I'm so excited. Yay, it's my favorite time of the year on BookTube. Also, I got this cute shirt, look at it, it's Felicity Merriman, the American Girl, and I love it. And this was actually inspired by Emma from the book Princess, because she got an American Girl shirt too, and it was so cute. And I went on TeePublic and bought one of my own, not the same one she had, but a different one. But yeah, I love it. It's so cute because Felicity's my fave. Alright, so I hope everybody else is having a great day. You're reading some great Victober stuff, that you're excited about Nonfiction November, and yeah, you're keeping safe and healthy. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!